Hello everyone, welcome to Grand Cruise Astrology. With this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Saturn having gone into the sign of Pisces and maybe a little bit about what we can expect with that. As I speak, it is March 12th and Saturn went into Pisces on March 8th, so this process is already underway. But with Saturn having gone into Pisces, when it does eventually go retrograde later in the year, it's going to stay in Pisces. It's not going to dip back into Aquarius. So the Saturn in Aquarius is finished. So we have definitely seen the effects of Saturn being in Aquarius and the things that it has presented to us, the challenges it presented to us, as far as, Saturn energy can be challenging. Let's talk about Saturn as an energy. Saturn is the planet of restriction, consolidation. It rules things like hard work and boundary and order, and has a lot to do with tradition, the old guard, rules, borders, boundary, container. Okay. And with Saturn having gone through a sign like Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius, which it does rule, Aquarius, though it is very humanitarian and very group oriented, it's a very group oriented energy, and it's very much about collective and keeping collective contained within a structure that benefits all. It's very utilitarian. With Saturn in there, it's that is heightened. That sense of duty for the collective. And Aquarius is also very much connected to technology and things like that. So there's been a lot of restriction and censorship and things like that have been issues that have come to the fore. Very much Saturn wanting to get a handle on, what's going through the airwaves, what's going through the wires, right? That's a Saturnian energy there. That energy is leaving. It has left Aquarius and now is moving into Pisces. So it's a very different experience. Pisces is 12th sign of the zodiac. It's very akin to planet of Neptune. The ancient ruler is Jupiter, and modern ruler is Neptune. It's just the sign of Pisces is energy expresses in Pisces is dissolved. It's dissolution of boundary, of dissolution of ego, dissolution of self, greater consciousness of the whole. Ultimately, as the 12th sign of the zodiac, it's the sign right before. It's the sign of dissolution back into the one before being reborn, right? In Aries in the spring, right? So with Saturn going into the sign of Pisces, which, by the way, Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012, I believe. I have to go back and check. It's been in there for a while, over a decade now, and will continue to be in there for another few years there. And so, Pisces, Neptune in Pisces has been a heightened sense of Piscean energy, a heightened compassion for a heightened compassion for all. I mean, Pisces is about compassion and empathy because there is no sense of separation, or little less of a sense of separation when we're talking about Piscean energy. So, with Neptune in there, a planet that is the active energy of disillusion and all is one, and really tapping into greater realms of consciousness. And it's very, Neptunian energy is very transcendental. And so, Neptune is the god Poseidon. And so it's the sea, right? And Pisces is the expression. I mean, Pisces is where Neptune most easily expresses its energy. And Neptune might as well, just be. I mean, it's a mutable water sign, right? So these two are, it's hard to differentiate. One's the active energy. One is how is sort of the costume, how that energy expresses. And so it's Neptune has very much been in its home, and we've had, as humanity, there's been in a lot of ways greater sense of compassion, greater sense of dissolution of boundary between self and other, and really coming to a greater understanding that it's just one world and that we are all connected. And what happens in one part of the world, we're not so disconnected anymore from that. Like that affects all of us. And so, yeah, that's that Neptune and Pisces energy. On the negative, Pisces is the sign of poverty and homelessness and these kinds of things. And with Neptune here, that can bring a greater awareness around these things. It can also bring more of that, but it can bring a greater awareness around it and more compassion, and it can bring empathy towards things like this. And so that's been that Neptune in Pisces. And also, Neptune in Pisces can bring there can be a lot of illusion with Neptune, and a lot of seeing what we want to see, and seeing, just it's painting a rosier picture, and not seeing the whole truth. We can be blinded by what we want to see. Because we see the greatest good, we see the greatest possibility to potential. That's with Neptune. And so with Neptune and Pisces, it can be there. It can be kind of a gullible energy, and we can really uh, we can really cause a lot of trouble by being big-hearted and compassionate without thinking. Right there can be this unintended consequence that comes with Neptune there. Now with Neptune, it also rules things like addiction and drugs, and we've certainly seen an uptick of that. With opiates and things of that nature. It's been that's been with us. It's been big, and that's very much Neptune in Pisces. It's just you get it all, right? And you get that side of it too, and the volume is turned up on it. So we're seeing a lot of that. Now we'll get to Saturn being in the sign of Pisces. Now Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. It's going to be an early Pisces this year, and it's not going to hit Neptune. In fact, Neptune will actually be out of Pisces when Saturn finally leaves Pisces in 2026, when it leaves for good. And so when we get to let me just check something right here real quick. When we get to yeah, yeah, because in 2025 Saturn is going to dip its toe into the sign of Aries. Actually, that'll be 2026. So actually, yeah, 2025. In summer 2025, Saturn will dip its toe into the sign of Aries, but even still, it won't be hitting Neptune. It won't hit Neptune proper until 2026, and at that time, it's going to be a very different world astrologically. And there's actually a lot of reason to have hope for that period of time. I'll get to that in a minute, but Saturn in Pisces is yeah, it's coming in, and it's going to be in Pisces proper. It's not going back into Aquarius. And so, what does that mean? Well, there's a number of ways to think of it. Again, Saturn, the planet of restriction, the planet of consolidation, it rules material and 3D. I like to think of, I like that you think of Saturn in Pisces. If you think of Pisces as the sea, mutable water, just an endless ocean. And then I think of Saturn as a big, like, reef or iceberg or rock right in the middle of that ocean, right? That's sort of a visual for you, how different these two energies are. And Saturn is the active energy. It's the planet. Planets are active energy. Pisces is just a sign, right? Pisces is how that energy expresses itself, right? So you have Saturn going through a sign of mutable water. And so, all these things I've been talking about, that Neptune has really been turning up the volume on, which is compassion, greater sense of clairvoyance, and empathy for people, and just a greater heightened understanding of spirituality, and even things like astrology, right? There's just a greater acceptance, understanding, and just people more tuned in to these higher realms of consciousness, right? Well, when you got Saturn going through there, it puts a little bit of, it brings a little bit of practicality and doubt into the equation. Okay, we start to ask questions, perhaps, like, okay, yeah, this astrology, like, for example, let's use astrology for example. Yeah, these are really good insights and facts and things, or insights and predictions you're making about what's going to happen, but I could totally say something else and it would be just as believable, and it can, with Saturn in the sign of Pisces, it can get very much down to brass tacks, and weigh everything up against, like, yeah, well, show me, right? It's a very show me kind of energy. I want to see it, I want to hold it, I want to feel it. Enough of this airy fairy crap, right? That's kind of Saturn, right? It wants borders, boundaries, proof, right? Nothing whimsical, nothing poetic, but factual, structural. It wants a foundation. It wants something that can be built upon. And mutable water, that's not really an easy thing to build upon, right? It's not. So this is it's a very kind of tricky energy. I think this is probably going to manifest as, I think there could be a return to, in some social arenas, more fundamental religion. I think could get a boost with this. I think that more, there's just going to be a little bit more sort of putting the brakes on this nebulousness that spirituality can be, and that what New Age is, and everything that it represents. I think that with Saturn going through Pisces, I think it can just put some more structure to it. It just gives structure to spirituality, for better or worse. I think it's going to want more organization. I think, I don't know, church participation, organized religion. In the extreme, you're going to see more fanaticism and all that, perhaps. But it's just sort of putting the brakes on this depth of empathy and this greater sense of oneness and compassion, and this mutable water. It's going to bring some boundary and some. It's going to bring it back down to earth a little bit, and it may kind of freeze it out. May freeze out that mutable water a little bit, because Saturn does rule cold as well. Cold weather and winter, and it just so it's kind of an interesting energy. This is, we're talking about Saturn, which is all about material structure and consolidation, and mutable water, and I mean, it's kind of like moving glaciers and ice. It's sort of an iceberg that floats. It's sort of these are some analogies here, but just trying to give you a sense of just um, how maybe strange these energies can feel at times. There's going to be a little bit of this and that, because we also, again, we have Neptune that's still in Pisces. That's not going away. It's not like Neptune is gone now that Saturn is in Pisces. It's just that we have something else to contend with here. So I think it could potentially create a dichotomy in belief. And we may find ourselves at any given moment in either camp of all is one, there are no boundaries, there's only one of us in the room, you and I are the same, and I have complete empathy and compassion. And then in another moment of, well, wait a minute, no, we are we are participating in three dimensions. We have a physical body, and there is boundary, there is order, and there is a need to create a solid foundation and structure, right? I mean, these energies, though they can kind of manifest in groups and group behavior as one camp being here and another camp being there, and in us individually, they can go back and forth, and we can find ourselves in any one of these predicaments. And a lot of it's going to be based on our chart, of course, our natal chart, but that's kind of the energy that we're dealing with Saturn and Pisces. It gets a lot into belief systems, a lot into the part of our experience that's beyond what we think about, just on a day-to-day basis, but more kind of like, what do we truly believe about our place in the universe, right? This is a very Piscean kinds of questions. And so Saturn coming in says, okay, well, let's read the doctrine and figure out, what that is. There's a lot of tradition around this and a lot of books written about it. I mean, this is a Saturnian way of understanding this, right? So that's that. Now, I will say, just kind of a teaser to 2026 here. Ultimately, when Saturn and Aries will get together in early Aries at 0 degrees in 2026, I believe February 2026. And that really will represent a new beginning, because Aries, first sign of the zodiac, 0 degrees Aries, beginning, the very, very beginning of the first sign of the zodiac. It represents the first day of spring, right? And so when we have Saturn going through there, that 0 degrees hitting Neptune in February 2026, it's new beginnings and solid foundations we can build on for the long term, right? I mean, this is really going to represent a time that launches. I think there is going to be a new renaissance in not only spirituality, but also how we organize it to make it sort of to give it application in our world, so that we have, this could be, things emerging like rites of passage for people, so that we have, worldly markers along the way to know where we are, and how we can be connected to spirit and our communication and our place within this pool, right? That is the universe, right? I think Saturn meeting with Neptune in this way in the very beginning of Aries can really be the very beginnings of creating some kind of perhaps structure or new outline of rites of passage for how we can understand ourselves in relation to the universe and religion and spirituality and all of these things, right? That's coming. And what I really like about that energy in 2026 is we're going to have Pluto in a very Pluto will be in Aquarius by then. Will still be in Aquarius by then, and Neptune will be in Aries, as I said. And it won't be long after that Uranus will be in Gemini. So it'll be all what we call masculine signs, or signs that express outwardly. There would be air signs and fire signs. So with those four planets, all outer planets, all heavy hitters, being in compatible signs like that, it really speaks to a certain harmony that we haven't experienced here in a very, very, very long time on this planet. And so really it's just about getting us there. We've gone through quite a bit, this last few years, and it's a little ways to go before we get to 2026, but we're getting there. And I do think it's really going to be a new day when we get there. Um, anyway, but we're in a time period right now of a lot of change. A lot of things are ending, a lot of new beginnings. There's a lot of things being turned over and upside down and beginning again anew. But if I can offer any comfort to say that 2026, it looks like things are going to get ironed out quite nicely, then I offer you that. And in the meantime, we can really learn to work with this Saturn in Pisces energy, because in order for us to get where we're going to go in 2026, we have to understand this energy more, understand what Saturn's consolidation energy of consolidation means in a mutable water sign like Pisces. So it's all part of the journey. So that's what I got. I'll leave it there. Hope this was helpful, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.